Hello everyone, welcome back to Pass the Aux Chord and Happy New Year 2026. If you're seeing this video, that means we got through the Big 25, as they're calling it. And what a year it's been. Not a great one, not an awesome one, but there has been some awesome music, and I think that's really the biggest compliment that I can give to this year, is that it wasn't as good as the one before it for music, but it still wasn't the worst year ever for music. And the highs were high, so highlighting the highs is going to be very fun. But before we get started, I should mention that I followed the same rules for this as my worst songs and albums lists, that being that an artist can only show up one time between either of the lists. There's going to be a top 20 albums coming very soon, and an artist, if they are on one, cannot be on the other. This is to avoid redundancy and hopefully give you the most interesting and new and nice crop of songs and albums as I can. If something obvious seems missing, that is why. With all that said and out of the way, let's get into it with number 20.
Just hold on and burn up, hold on and burn up, hold on and burn up.
PASSTHEauxCORD is someone who had a pretty big year in 2025 and a solid past few, getting bigger and now pretty huge in the underground, almost surpassing it entirely. His music doesn't always work for me, but when it does click, it works especially well for me. The first time that was the case was with 2023's Jeans, one of my most replayed recent songs, and this track, Burn, from his latest record, is the biggest time since Jeans came out. To me, the straight up bounce this track has is so addictive and undeniable. It's got a great build-up and payoff generally, and simply is so fun to listen to. The big drop at the end evokes some big 2010s nostalgia and hits pretty sick for that reason as well. It's unexpected, but I love it. It's pretty catchy, pretty accessible, but also a little weird and off-kilter in the way that PASSTHEauxCORD does so well. The guy makes a lot of ear candy, and this one's one of the sweetest to my ears that he has made so far. Moving on to number 19. If we're going to talk about ear candy with a little bit of 2010s nostalgia, here's one that does that much different and just a little bit better. If you're not in the know, yeah, Rebecca Black makes bangers now and redefines herself into a legitimately great and exciting artist with every new one she puts out. The beat on this one is absolutely nasty. It's an extremely catchy song. It's satisfying, a bit freaky, and really vocally nice too, and produced extremely well. Add in some badass guitar samples and sound effects and you have something that hits absolutely crazy. It's snappy, replayable, such a big fun one overall. Hop on the Rebecca Black train if you have not already, because that huge hit album is on the way. I just know it.
Trying to burn the edges of the present that has been fixed, so it's best to leave them dead. Don't bother with it, live lobotomy.
Tastefully angled down and to the right. Angel pendant dangling like a lynched bird. Posture reading down and to the right. Perfectly crowned teeth. Neon Billabong logo down and to the right.
Bitter sabotage.
Due to her specific blend of traditional pop and vocal jazz revivalism, I think that Leve gets unfairly marked at times as gimmicky or in some way insignificant. Like, yeah, what she does is pretty straightforward revivalism, sure, but that's a niche that isn't really being filled at all right now outside of maybe Lana Del Rey, but definitely not to this extent, and she's fantastic at it. And even then, you get some legitimately interesting ideas, like you do on this very big, dramatic, nicely building song, which acts as the grand finale to her previous amazing album. She's a very good songwriter, especially in the way things are framed here, and an incredible vocalist. It's really just so nice all around. It's very good. It's very impressive to me. And let's move on to something that's about as different as something could be while still being impressive with number 16.
Louis V. Sandals, crazy, hoes not scandalous, yet these supermodel bitches be fans.
If you're liking the video so far, it would be greatly appreciated if you liked and subscribed. That's all. Thank you. I really feel like we're going from the most elegant thing possible to the most fucking nasty thing possible, because this song is absolutely nasty. They don't make speakers loud enough at civilian scale to accommodate this bass. This is the type of shit subwoofers were invented for. In a way, I do get the critique of SD Kid's songs all sounding the same, but if he only has one song, it is a damn good song, and this might be the best version of it, including the features. Another point of contention seems to be his accent. Personally, I am a big fan. I think that it makes for his rapping sounding very unique, having a lot of personality, and adding to the hype vibe of everything very nicely. I love the feature from Fake Mink on here as well, someone else who's had a pretty big year. The fact that he's here is another reason why I picked this song specifically. I was considering including a Fake Mink song, but kind of hit two birds with one stone with this one. And I think they're a surprisingly great pairing. The song also has a verse from Rico Ace that's pretty nice, so it's the closest thing we get to a really hype posse cut as far as I've heard in the 2025 for the underground hip-hop scene. Not that SD Kid is especially underground anymore, but still feels like part of that classification. Anyways, clearly, I'm very here for it with the SD Kid hype. I hope he gets a little bit more varied in the future, but otherwise, I can't see anything wrong with this despite recent contrarianism. This shit is so fun. Moving on to number 15.
Kiss for hours straight, well, baby, what was that? I remember saying that.
Lorde has had a bit of an odd arc in the 2020s, coming from her endeavor into singer-songwriter, being somewhat disappointing back several years ago. Then now with this single, which was a big return to her melodrama era style pop music, and the subsequent album that was interestingly quite diverse and ambitious for someone so mainstream. As much as I wish I was super into everything on that album, it was just this lead single here being the one that I replay in particular, and it is strong contender for my favorite Lorde song at this point. It sounds clean, it's fun, it's poppy, but it also does some legitimately interesting things with its structure, and it's somewhat relatable and introspective lyrically. It's made to be a big pop single, but it's done in a tasteful way that plays to wide appeal, but also feels legitimately interesting, and I respect that a lot. Moving on to number 14.
Passed up in the motherfucking daytime. Hella freaks in the party, good music, good clothing, and good Marley.
I heard this Smoke Dope 2016 tape when it dropped, and I'm so proud of people coming around to it and blowing this track up in particular. I knew it was special when I heard it, and it seems like a lot of people have agreed since. This is the type of song that makes it so clear that sampling is a beautiful art form. The beat on this track is absolutely heavenly, and the rapping over top isn't anything super crazy, but it's very charming and just strong enough to fit the vibe. Saying something is a vibe might be a pretty weak descriptor, but it's never been so fitting and accurate. Turn this up loud, sink in, and you'll probably get it too. Moving on to number 13.
Go dopes wanna take your money. I ain't living as you niggas, but ain't shit fun. You ain't a crash out nigga, you a crash dummy.
We didn't get a Kendrick versus Drake type of moment this year, or really anything close to it that was that significant in mainstream hip-hop, but the East Coast versus West Coast feud was certainly something, you know, it tried for sure. Kicked off by Joey at the beginning of this year, he said there was
too much West Coast dick licking,
and essentially left an open challenge to anyone who is a West Coast rapper to try to out-rap him. Predictably, many would make response tracks that then ended up raising the stakes a bit more. It didn't really reach the heights of where Joey was aiming his sights by any means, but TDE's Ray Vaughn was probably the biggest artist to respond, and probably the most competent as well. Ray put up a great fight in this battle and made an absolute banger in his own regard with Ho Era, but by the time Joey dropped Crash Dummy, it was all over. Diabolically using a modified version of Tupac's Hit 'Em Up instrumental, Joey absolutely decimated both him and Daylight, who was the second most competent competitor in this fight, but still not really all that great or anything. But this diss track is fun, it's catchy, it's great to listen to, but it's also cold as hell and doesn't really hold any punches. Ironically or not, depending on which way you'd like to look at it, this does take a somewhat similar strategy to Not Like Us and is somewhat similarly effective. Making a song that's just super fun to listen to outside of the disses is kind of the best way to win the beef in the court of public opinion. Did much come from this feud besides a pretty mid-Joey album at the end of it? No, but it was a fun ride for the couple of days that it heated up and concluded with this track. And I think it's definitely one of the best diss tracks we've seen in recent years, if not ever. Moving on to number 12.
Tryna stay sucker free.
Keeping in the hip-hop realm, we got one with a lot less lore, but just as much catchy, replayable, immediate satisfaction. After a redemption arc, a modern classic, a victory lap, and a bold new statement, Tyler absolutely is that guy, just as much as he says on this song. The Summer Surprise album that this came from, Don't Tap the Glass, is focused almost entirely on these upbeat, immediately lovable, and catchy songs. This is just the one that happens to hit the best for me, with some of the deeper cuts not really being ones I replay as much. It really cannot go underappreciated just how well produced this is. Of course, we'd expect no less from Tyler, but he continues to impress with this snappy, punchy, almost vintage type of beat. The rapping is great, the singing is charming, and some of his best yet, and it's just so infectiously fun. Bonus points for Furniture Couch, because that isn't a set of words that makes any sense, but I really love how it sounds. Moving on to number 11. I'm not sure I'm all the way there with the OK Lou hype despite her music being something I'd normally really mess with in theory, but I've been on board with underscores for quite a while now and I really never wasn't. Cut the difference and put the two on the same track and I've never gotten it more actually. This collab is fireworks. A frigidly cold and thick atmosphere, great vocals from both of them, and some really unusual but particularly interesting production choices make this a banger of intergalactic proportions. We could be here a long time breaking down just what random niche internet core shit might have influenced this track to exist, but I'm more of the idea of just being happy with it existing and moving on from there. In a way, this feels like a carrying of the torch from two modern rising stars. In another way, it's just really cool. Moving on to number 10. The latest kinda album turned actual album from Hayley Williams that came out this year was a very good one and a diverse and varied album, almost to the point that I had no idea where to rank it on the albums list that I intended to include it on. But thankfully I didn't really even have to think that far for very long because there was one specific standout that easily belongs on the songs list instead. In terms of quality, Hayley's recent era rises way above her previous two, with her last two solo albums that is, and songs like this even rise way above anything she did with Paramore if you want my opinion on it. Parachute is the perfect balance of poppy catchiness, the hard rock edge, and the general ambition that she's shown in all of her best moments solo so far. This is a deeply emotional track as well and really hits home in that regard. It's more or less a breakup song but ends up being a lot more potent and powerful than the average one. And how it sounds, this has got to be one of the best, if not the best, rock chorus of the year. I love the track's progression, and even more so, the spoken, leaning verses that work so well to deliver the song's message. This is definitively the peak of Hayley Williams songwriting to me. If you want a taste of what this very long album is like before you get into it, this is probably a great place to start. If you want to just listen to the whole album, this is an amazing grand finale on the official track list. Moving on to number 9. I think of any band or artist, it was hardest to decide if Deaf Heaven should go on the songs or albums list. Their album this year, Lonely People with Power, is possibly an even more intriguing dive into mixing black metal with shoegaze than their 2013 modern classic Sunbather was. If it's not their best, it's their best since. And the sound displayed on this album is just so damn fresh, cool, and even more so raw and visceral. That said, it's a very intimidating project at a pretty long length and a very inaccessible sound, so if you just want to dip your feet in the pool, I think Doberman is the track to do it with. This song is pure organized chaos, feeling so dense and impactful, but also so intentional and gorgeously orchestrated. This track has a push and pull of loudness and subtlety through its near 7 minutes and makes really the best use possible of those 7 minutes. The "All hail now the Panopticon" refrain is also oddly almost catchy, and the lyrics throughout the song are pretty thought-provoking and interesting that match alongside that quite well. In the cutting edge ends of metal, I think this is one of the best songs to do it in a while. Moving on now to number 8. This year there was a lot of discourse around not really getting our song of the summer, but if the world was ready for it, Miley Cyrus would have been the taker for that title in 2025. She wildly reinvented herself into something much more boundary-pushing, ambitious, and unexpected with her latest album, and this is the highlight of it if you ask me. This is more of a rock song than anything else, one with some killer bass and percussion no less, and a moody, edgy vocal performance from Miley to match. It's multi-phased, epic, and even soulful in a way, really. There's a build-up and a catchy chorus like you would expect with Miley's popular tracks, but it is so far from how you'd expect it to be delivered and executed. Even the lyrical concept is on a scale so much more grandiose, and the writing is so much more layered and poetic than your average pop song ever would have the chance or dream of being. There's a time and place for sweet bubblegum pop music. I love a lot of it. Some of it is even on this list, as you've already seen, but the transformation into something so remarkable for Miley this year was so fantastic to see, and I really think it went underappreciated to an alarming degree. Pretend You're God will always be the song of the summer for 2025 in my heart, and if not, then the song with Brittany Howard ain't a half bad pick either. Moving on to number 7.
Corporations profit hard, they cackle like some vultures picking bones through their teeth. Caught between the meat, see the blood dripping down.
In terms of potential upon debut album, as well as quality consistency up to this point, few are doing it quite as well in any form of rock music as Maruja has thus far. Am I saying it right now? Is it Maruja? Maruja? I was saying Maruja before. Apparently that's wrong. Help. Anyways, I've expressed some fatigue with the formulaic approach we've been seeing and I've been feeling from the windmill scene as of late, and they're typically dropped into that scene, into that categorization, but this is something entirely different if you ask me. Maruja is fueled by political angst and fury in a way that we haven't seen so effectively done since Rage Against the Machine's heyday, and this track is one of the best to do it. They aren't just sticking it to the man either, they have a lot to say, and while punching upward, also preach unity among those oppressed by the system they seek to fight back against. With the year we've had, it's pretty undeniable they're coming to us at an important and necessary time with the track Look Down on Us, whether or not you think the band sounds fresh and interesting, which I absolutely do anyways. This song makes such good use of its lengthy runtime by giving us both a noisy, dark, brooding form of chaos and a viciously impactful anthem to resistance at the same time. The incorporation of jazz into rock is something we've seen a lot of as of late, especially in that windmill scene, so it goes to say a lot when I don't think I have heard it done much better than it is here, if ever better at all. Definitely not since the days of Black Midi Schlegenheim. This one just absolutely rips. It's a great song and potentially a very powerful one. Moving on to number 6.
Easy to hate, easy to blame.
Ethel Cain is an artist that is new to me this year and did nothing but impress me across 2 different full projects this year. On Willow B. Tucker, I Will Always Love You, I was between this one and another track which I'm slightly afraid to manually type out on the screen for algorithm purposes. so the choice was pretty easy to me. But regardless, it probably would have edged out on top anyways because this song is so damn good at what it's going for. This is absolute peak when it comes to somber, gloomy, tragic slowcore, as well as singer-songwriter, which this track in particular leans more towards. It's something that there was oddly a drought of this year, and I think maybe in the last few years as well. For such a somber year, I would think that there'd be more of it, but Ethel had filled that gap up pretty well at least. This song sounds like the feeling after crying your eyes out because of a million issues in your life piling up. This song even sounds the way a heavy, draining, distracting feeling or life event feels. It's a bit dramatic to describe a piece of music that way perhaps, but I really feel that way about it. And beyond that, the way this song was written is songwriting genius lyrically. We don't really have time to break down the storyline presented here or the storyline in the greater album as a whole in this style of video, but the subversion of expectations when the line "she was my sister" first hits is genuinely incredible. Moving on to number 5. Is it cheating to put something on here that's longer than many albums I've heard? Maybe, but it's my list, so whatever, I guess. It's still a singular track. Turquoise Death is an artist that I've always had an appreciation for quite some time now, due to the ability to fully transport the listener somewhere else entirely through immersion in the music itself. Turquoise Death has the tendency to show you a completely different but alien and beautiful world physically in the cover, and then shock you by making the music feel as if it takes you to the place in the cover as well. The title of this song, Close Your Eyes, directly references the producer tag sample Turquoise Death often uses, but it is especially fitting because it's exactly what you should do while listening to this, but also fitting because it is the definitive Turquoise Death experience in my mind. It is a multi-part track in the way that something like Steroids by Death Grips is, and naturally those sections flow together perfectly. It's almost like more of an abstract story. It definitely isn't a song in the traditional sense with how it works. Looking well outside the drum and bass niche Turquoise Death is a part of, and really looking outside electronic music in general, there's nothing more immersive I have heard this year by a long shot. The length of this track is daunting from an objective perspective, but slip some headphones on and do exactly what the title tells you to, and trust me, it'll be worth it. Moving on to number 4.
Lucky I ain't TMZ it. So be it, so be it.
This is culturally inappropriate.
It's certainly much more grounded and tangible than my last pick, but So Be It definitely deserves to be here for being one of the best rap songs of the decade so far, and the best demonstration of Clips's massive recent comeback. We got Pharrell on the beat, of course, warping some backwards looped percussion and ominous but so satisfying and so interesting vocal samples to make a gritty, dark but replayable beat. We got Malice absolutely going in with some clever lyrics and definitively strong flows and inflections. We've got one of the best examples of something simple but effective on the cold, clean, hard hook. And of course we got Pusha T sounding just as great as he typically does. Great lyrics, great delivery, and notably some shots taken against Travis Scott that started and ended their halfway beef in quite a clean fashion. It seems like about 6 bars were enough to make him spiral. And while such a simple moment on what isn't even really a diss track, it was such a strong chess move that, in my opinion, it caused Travis to drop his worst work to date by far. There's a ton of great Clips material on the new album, but damn, this one is just on a different level to me. It's hard for anything else on that album to stand a chance, even though some of them do. Moving on to number 3. Yule is someone I've been saying is so entirely special and unique in their sound since Soft Scars dropped, and the best single from this year's album proves it even farther yet. Just like the best Yule moments, this is a sweet, poppy, catchy, upbeat upbeat song, but also something so entirely strange, unique, and special. They've been incorporating a lot more rock as of late, and it's more subtle on this track, but emphasized enough to give some incredibly satisfying raw instrumentation to a digitized and technological sound. This song is so catchy, and it knows it. It's practically a song about a song, in fact, and I love a song that's about music, and I love a song that's just good for the sake of being good. However you'd like to read into the song, it still remains exactly that, and it's music about the power of music in a way, and that's such a sweet thing. I hate to pull the either you get it or you don't type of card, but hopefully many of you either have gotten it or will go on to get it and appreciate Yule's unique, quirky, and lovable characteristics after this list. This one sets the bar for entry low, and I mean that in the best way possible. Bonus points for Gigantic Cat, and moving on to number 2.
Yeah, come here, quick pose for the picture. Stumbling, I kill this rose elixir. 12 flights down, one step to get there. I pledge my vessel.
These are back-to-back picks where I didn't really know what to do with them because I'm just so deeply biased in their favor. At the end of the day though, you gotta just be true to yourself sometimes and see it through. That's why I'm gonna gas up my most played song in recent history as much as I possibly can. Despite technically being a YouTube rapper, Aries came up as one of the very best to do it by far among the then growing scene of pop rap and maybe more specifically emo rap. Back when he dropped Welcome Home, that is, and ever since he's not been exactly prolific, but he's always been one of the best producers, writers, and vocalists in a genre that's already a cheat code for my adoration personally. His gap in music that's been occurring for the most part since 2021 is one that has been felt very deeply for me, especially as I replayed his album to death more and more as the years progress, and naturally I've been eagerly anticipating Aries making a comeback, which he did in 2025, just a couple months back. At a certain point, you have to wonder if there's any chance something will live up to your expectations when you've been waiting for it so long. I thought maybe it'd be impossible for me with this Aries album, but as soon as Anesthesia dropped, it reminded me that my goat never disappoints. The production doesn't disappoint because the somber atmosphere and slow burn build sounds amazing as it ever possibly could. The vocals certainly don't disappoint, possibly being the most passionate, full of emotion, and impactful that Aries has ever done yet. Even the writing comes nowhere near disappointing, which is one of the biggest critiques that has ever been levied against Aries before, because the substance in the lyrics is something that cannot be denied. It would be disingenuous to do so if you actually read into it at all. This is such a powerful, emotional, strong statement of a song in whatever way you'd like to interpret it. It transcends the style that Aries came up in entirely and makes something new and so strong. Really, I have no idea how much it will or will not resonate with the average person who would watch this video, but just know that this song has been out like a month and it's already tattooed on my soul forever. That said, I couldn't bring myself to give it number 1. Moving on to number 1.
You're gonna have to nail me down.
Oh no, the geese glaze. Not another person glazing geese again. They're so overrated.
Shut. It's not every year we get a song where I wouldn't even really question you on it if you call it the greatest song of all time. It's a real shame how the Ouroboros of social media discourse is too up its own ass to just give something its flowers and leave it at that. Whether or not you think they're here to be rock music's latest Jesus, Geese made what is one of the most perfect examples of what a rock song should be on Taxes that I have ever heard. The song has a concept and it runs with it. The song has a seamless flow that makes sense. The song has incredible performances from everyone involved and sounds fucking great. Whether you take it as a statement of independence and personal strength, a fiery anthem of protest, something entirely abstract, or something else entirely, this song has some of the best written lyrics you can hope to hear on a rock song as well. It has a structure that's so deceptively simple. It's one long through line, start to finish, but feels like so much more in practice. It even manages a sudden explosive moment that feels like coming to a realization of some sort, the fog clearing from a window almost. This song has it all. plain and simple. And I can't wait to be 50 something, 40 something on the highway hearing it play on the oldies station, because this one is timeless on impact. And I think people are only going to continue even more to notice this. In a totally different way than I do now, I loved Geese with 3D Country, I loved Cameron Winter's solo album, but all in all, it is just so cool to see them leveling up into something so new and special. Guess you just won't be able to nail the band down. It's pretty fitting for a band named after a bird, because they're growing wings and soaring to new heights with this one. But that is it. That is the best songs of 2025 that I heard. Again, only one pick for each artist across each list, so if anything obvious seems missing, just hold out for that best albums list. I understand I'm a little bit late here, actually getting into the new year rather than doing these in December, but sometimes I like the idea of doing that, you know, and I didn't have time, so in part it's just that, but also, like, you know, at least you got a few more list videos to chew on before the whole year-end season comes to a close and 2026 begins. So I hope everybody's having a very good new year so far. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and follow for more music-related content, and I will see you in the next video.